and we can start in a cack-handed way. It's the way I do like all my podcasts. I'll just start mid-sentence, and then I have no time to get nervous.
Okay, yeah.
Because really, it's just me and you talking, Steve. We've got to ignore
the millions of people
listening.
Everybody on the planet who's watching our every move, and
every blink of the eye is being analysed right now.
Do you think I should? Sorry, would I be better slightly sideways? Do you think would that give a more professional approach?
Well, it's certainly sexier. I mean, I don't know.
Is it? Okay.
It's more of a James Bond.
Right, I've got no nerves at all. So now that I've seen you with that hat on, if you're going live with that, I'm fine.
Tell you what, if it's not my hair, it's my hat. Listen, this is cool. I'm down with the kids. 40-year-old man dressing like a 15-year-old skater. There's nothing wrong with that. My excuse is always, I'm going to the gym in a minute. I'm constantly going to the gym in a minute.
I'm going to the gym, lad. Yeah.
So, speaking of, you've got a background like myself in martial arts as well, haven't you?
Yes.
Could you tell us all a bit about that?
We started.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. My problem with you, mate. I never know when you're serious. That's the thing. So you have to say.
Nobody does. It's a very disarming interpersonal style that I've developed over the years, where people are like, "What the fuck's he on about now? Is he serious or not?" No, there is a lot of martial arts people who follow the channel, and I think some of them will be interested to know, where you started training and the type of training you're doing now.
Have I ever told you this as well? I may have done. I dabbled about a year ago. I just dabbled with some ideas. I ran a few classes in Liverpool, which were called Self-Defense for Body and Soul. Did I tell you about them? You know about them?
No.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry, mate. And all it was exactly what you've done in a lot of your videos, if you like, and say, if we're in a world of self-defense, that's usually considered. Most people say, "Oh yeah, martial arts, physical self-defense, kicking, punching, blocking, blah blah blah." Got it. It's just in case somebody jumps out on you for some reason and you've got some ability to defend yourself physically. And my pitch is, we're really fortunate in this part of the world where that doesn't actually happen as much, especially if you don't watch any news and get it fed into you. But then I'll say, but what about people who are emotionally and psychologically assaulted every single day, which can be deliberate or accidental? It can be bullying and harassment. It can be a manager with low emotional intelligence. It can be all sorts of things. Yeah. And of course, so there's a similarity starting to build. And what I say on the physical side, we can learn skills. If it happens, there's an infrastructure, police, hospital. If you've got a bruise, people feel sorry for you. Boom. On the psychological side, there's no infrastructure unless it really reaches critical stage. The scars go deep, but nobody can see them, so you don't get the sympathy. And if somebody does say, "What's up?" and you'll say, "Oh, fella on the bus called me a fat cow or something," people will say, "Oh, ignore him."
Yeah.
What? So I started doing that analogy as a bit of a trial around 4 classes in a place in Liverpool. It went really well, and I've just not got motivated to get back into it. And I think doing this is giving me a bit of that back now, because I do talk about this almost in those same terms, if you like. It's like, and when we
that's the root. It's the same roots as this project, which was originally Street Fight Secrets, which was pure physical self-defense, then coming into like psychological and emotional self-protection. And like you say, if somebody does get to be the victim of really severe emotional abuse, and it goes on for a long time, and it hits a critical point, like where the full nervous breakdown or suicide attempt, there's always going to be some people who are like, but really though, really, did anything really happen? Is it all inside your own head? And that is a major problem that we face, and there isn't really a solution that I can think of for that off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's so it's a bit like we do physical self-defense as a preparation. It's no good doing physical self-defense if you're actually in a hospital bed. It ain't gonna be any good then. So we do it in preparation, in advance. And yet a lot of what we might consider to be psychological and emotional self-defense is after the fact.
Yeah.
You know, oh yeah, I know what it is. I'm the victim of a narcissist. I'll go and get some treatment. And the dilemma, I know what the answer is, but if we could only get people to do psychological self-defense techniques before they ever went near the threat. You know, so
right. So there is like there's an issue there with raising awareness of it, isn't there? And maybe, like you say, if there was a way of training people up so that, I mean, for a start, like if you're being mugged, you know you're being mugged. Somebody's going, give us your wallet or you're going to get punched in the jaw. If you're being mugged psychologically, it's hard to figure out exactly when it started, how it's happening and when it's ended, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. I mean, the analogy, it sort of breaks down, but it's strong enough as an analogy for us to, I think, be thinking about it. So some of the techniques you've put into the program, which are self-defense techniques, aren't they? Circuit breakers and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll often say to the clients, you know, here's the exercise, but you don't have to wait for something to happen to do it. Really get good at doing it so that at the slightest anticipation, you've got a self-defense technique. So
that's actually a really important point, and I've never really hammered that with clients. But just to say to them, like, it's going to work a hell of a lot better if you do it preemptively before the event, rather than waiting for it and then trying to scramble to find your weapons and your defense. You're just there ready to go.
Oh, well, the other thing that you'll get this, I know. A lot of self-defense, martial arts or self-defense, whatever label. You drill it, you practice it, you get to a stage where you've used the phrase yourself. You're less of a victim. You've hardened yourself as a target.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a cliche, but it is. I think it is very true. The more you practice martial arts, the less likely you are to need them.
Yeah.
Because you tend to walk around the planet differently.
Yeah.
You communicate a different thing, and you see. So it's almost the same with the psychological techniques. Practice them when it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Just good, and your brain will be more adaptive then to sort of spotting that a threat coming in and not being there when it does land, sort of thing. So
yeah. No, it's a good analogy, and it's that's why with the coaching course, well, it goes back to another seminar that I did before. It's like white belt to black belt on the coaching course, taking people through 6 1-hour sessions.
Yeah.
Not just with the idea of like therapy and recovery, but the idea of actual coaching, like a personal trainer or a martial artist, a martial arts trainer would coach you, being like, okay, we're getting you ready potentially for a real fight here. And fuck, if it really happens, I mean, I've been mugged physically. I've been blast. I mean, where we're from, nobody escapes catching a fucking beating.
Bit racist, I'm not having that.
Show me a scout who didn't get punched before the age of 21. I asked Amanda that, and she was like, "No, I got headbutted by the time I was 19." I'm like, yeah.
But it's all done from a place of love, you know that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're a warm and friendly bunch. We just seem to like a bit of violence.
I still say you're more likely to get hugged than mugged in Liverpool.
Yes. And I think it's improving. I think when I was growing up, like around Liverpool city centre 20 years ago, was a different place.
Bit of a war zone, was it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was like Birkenhead is now. But now Liverpool city centre is it's totally different. It's very cosmopolitan and
yeah, it is great. It is good. Yeah, indeed. And of course, it's the way things.
We've even got hipsters. That's how I know it's changed. There's Scouse hipsters now.
Skipster.
Skipster.
yeah, indeed. Of course, we're plugged into the matrix. We get to hear on a regular basis about the bad things that happen, and there are bad things. But because you only hear them, you think that's the way the world is. So
yeah.
There's a lot of good things.
Speaking of good things, I know that you've had now. We've only been doing this for a month or so, but you've had 2 really glowing testimonials. One was particularly effusive.
It was good. It was good. It was a poem, really, wasn't it? It was great.
It was a poem. It was really poetic. You know, Steve dragged me from the depths of hell. I mean, Steve with the angel wings. I was very impressed.
Yeah. She was a lovely lady, actually. She was great. So it fitted in with her. I knew that when it arrived, it was her style. She thinks, she's very thoughtful and creative. So it wasn't. That was a great course, Steve. Thank you very much. It was really, I've got it framed on the wall. Actually.
It went deep. It went really deep. Yeah. A lot of people ask me this question. They want to know, in terms of recovery, because this kind of abuse is deep, like it goes deep into you. There's as we've said, you know, you could get physically assaulted, and that's upsetting and can emotionally dysregulate you. But if you're actually in a relationship with somebody, in work, romantic relationship, family relationship, and it goes on for a long time, the damage it can do is quite deep, and it's notoriously hard to deal with in the world of psychology. How optimistic are you when you sit down with a client that you can actually help them?
Well, the answer I'm going to give you there is I have to be only optimistic. I have to be only optimistic. If I'm ever, I mean, I'm not just talking about this program, I'm talking about other coaching I do as well. I sort of know over the many years that if I'm carrying a doubt at all, it'll seep through. So if I have got a doubt, I need to inoculate against that in some way, even if it's an early part of the conversation with the client. But if I don't start off optimistic and expecting the best for the client, there's a possibility we won't get the best for the client. So I'm not sure that's the sort of answer you're looking for, but I am generally very optimistic. You know that not everything goes the same way. Every single client is totally unique, totally different, and so you can't do, you know, boom, exactly the same. But talking about that particular lady who sent that testimonial over, how could I not be optimistic with another client after receiving something like that? You know, and it comes with experience. And I know in the early days, because I actually teach on a coaching course as well, the Institute of Leadership and Management coaching course, level 5 and level 7, big here in the UK. And so I deal with people who are still trying to find their feet, earn their wings, get out there and do it. And there's a little bit of self-doubt. So part of our program is about getting them to realize that they can do good stuff, even if they're only early days coaches. If somebody comes towards them for help them, and it'll grow in confidence. So big long answer for I'm always optimistic. Always optimistic.
It's interesting, isn't it, to sort of and this is why I specified, like, we have to have coaches with a lot of experience. Is what can be done if there is rapport built within that intimate space between the coach and the client. I mean, what can be done is huge. You can get a lot of work done in a very short space of time. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, you did right. You did right. It's interesting that one about rapport. I totally agree about rapport, and again, it's something I teach to. So you take some time to build that rapport and all the rest. But I think there's another rapport going on. You're moving.
I have to take my my hoodie off.
Oh, okay.
It's
so we can only see you from the nose.
There you go. I'm in shot now.
So here, if this isn't a bit too convoluted, it's something that I've thought for a long time, and you've asked the question about it. So I think it's about almost building a rapport within the client himself or herself. Bit weird, isn't it? A bit weird. But I need them to start saying things that they like to hear, trust themselves saying, and build that rapport with them. I have a little game I'm playing, which is to get them to that stage where, first of all, they start talking to me and telling me things, and I'm asking them questions to get more. And then you get them to a stage where the questions are making them think about stuff, so that does that make sense? Like a sense of rapport within themselves.
Absolutely. I've never thought of it that way, but getting them to a stage where, yes, there's like inner congruence. You know, you sort of.
It is inner congruence. It is absolutely.
Yeah. But a good relationship with the self, where you're like, come on, mate. You know, I want you to heal. You want to heal. Let's make this happen. And getting them on that page is a huge part of the process, I think.
I've found in the in this program, one of the little, it may not be the same for the other coaches, but I've just found that once we start on the that part of it that deals with the emotional literacy, where it's a case of, you know, knowing that emotion, acknowledging it, allowing it to be for a reason, and then moving past that to something else. That's almost where this starts to happen, because before then they probably think, you know, that's me, I am angry. And you know, you're making a choice. It's you know, and it's not, you can't say you're making a choice, because they think, no, I'm not, and now there's a big, now you've got this discongruence, or whatever the opposite.
Incongruence,
so you've got to think, oh yeah, right, absolutely, of course, that's what's happening. And then a good circle of rapport happens with them as well. And I like that. I particularly like the emotional literacy thing. I think that's one of the things I wish we could, you know, so many, but we could teach in schools. We could teach young people to be emotionally literate. Literate. It's a pipe dream, I guess, in some ways. But if we could, I just feel there'd be a lot less problems going on.
It's not that much of a pipe. It's not that much of a pipe dream. I've still got. Oh, could you turn it down a bit, mate? Just turn your volume down.
Okay.
I can hear myself.
Just a sec. So it's about now 50%. Any good? That better? Or? You've gone down as well.
Yeah, of course, because you've turned the volume down.
Can't hear you. So go up a little bit.
I think we could get it into the schools. It is possible. I've still got contacts.
Yeah.
So the meta sort of skill set element of the emotional literacy course is it forces people into a state of self-compassion, and it brings them to a place where they can detach from the emotional responses and form some boundaries between their identity and their emotional responses.
Yeah. See, I say it my way and you say it the proper way. Good.
I say it the Ponzi way.
Well, yeah, that's true. Just you say it like a skater dude. So have you taken your top off?
That's why I tilted the camera up. It suddenly was freezing cold here, and then the sun came out for a minute, and the entire room just heated up to 300 degrees C. And I'm like, this isn't very professional. So that's why I tilted the screen.
Oh, yeah, I can see now. Yeah, I can see. Oh, I saw too much.
So
too little, I should say.
One of the other things I was going to ask you is, you know, when you're seeing clients, do you notice the change in them session to session?
Okay. Time for me to reveal one of my trade secrets.
We're ready.
I actually asked them to track it. Right. I actually asked them at the end of each session. Okay, it is, you know, it's a process. It's a thing I do, and every time consistent. I say at the end of the session, so you've got your exercises to do. We all clear. You know, just conclude on all of that, and I'll say, okay, so you know when we start our next session, just a couple of extra things, no biggie, a couple of things I want you to do. We'll start off by you telling me 2 or 3 really good things that have happened in your life since we last spoke. And you know why? You know, it starts the session in a resourceful way. But as the time goes on, I just love it because they get better at spotting good things in their life. Right, wow, what a surprise. You know, it's not as... Yeah. And then I do what you just asked. I also say, and when we come back on next time, another little thing, it's not hard work. You can do this while you're driving around in your car or whatever. But when we come on, I want you to tell me some things that have actually shifted just because we started on the program. So I actually asked them to track, but I do it gently. I don't want them to think or manufacture or say something to please me type of thing. So it's very conversational, and just say, My phrase is shifts. I don't know if that's what you said, that you might have done actually. Just what shifts are you noticing? Because they do. It's not a trick. They do notice the shift, but if I don't ask, it drops back into the well of despair.
Well, I'm laughing because you actually phrase it the same way I do. It's not a big thing. There's just a couple of things I want you to do if you get time. And these are like some of the most key elements that you get done in coaching.
Isn't it good? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Like the Columbo technique. Just one more thing before we close the session.
Yeah, no, it is good. Yeah. Some of them actually do. I don't ask for this. It depends how it lands, doesn't it? But some of them actually send me a little email with a few things on. These are the shifts I've noticed, and that's okay. I don't overplay it because I certainly don't want it to be an exercise that, for all the reasons I've said. When we're doing exercises, if somebody else is going to see it, then there's, I think, a little bit of contamination creeps in. I'm going to write this so you'll like what I'm writing, sort of thing. So I don't do it like that. I just do it to say. And then when they come on and it's interesting, they say, okay, so if we've got a good level of rapport, I'll say, so the rules, 2 or 3 good things that have happened. And some of them, yeah, this great. Others still struggle.
Yeah.
There was one, I've done this for years, and there was one back in October, November last year, not on this program, and it was like this. So the rules, come on, what's really good? Something's happened, cheer me up for something that's happened. He said, no, you know what, it's a tricky one, Steve, nothing. So well, you're not getting past me until you tell me something. I want to know, think of a day in the week and tell me one thing that happened on that day. This is all, good natured. I went to get fitted for a wedding dress on Wednesday. What? Okay, what was that like? Oh, it was fabulous. And why doesn't that be the thing she's dying to tell me when she comes on the call?
Yeah.
But, and we could spend the next 4 hours discussing why that is the case, but it's about raising your vision. I have this expression, which will probably sound, you'll hear it in a different way than a lot of people. It's gob. You heard the expression gob? You've heard gob.
Well,
nobody's ever called you a big gob.
Yeah, many times. My mum, usually.
So the gob I'm talking about is glimpses of brilliance. And again, it's one of it slides on training courses I use all the time. It says, a pair of spectacles, look at the world looking for glimpses of brilliance. So not massive big things, just those glimpses of brilliance that are all around us all the time.
Yeah.
And and I was talking to a lady about this yesterday, about some other project I'm on, and she knows this because she was on our coaching course years ago. She said that stuck with her because the gob sticks. And it's changed the way she sees the world.
Right.
It's massive. It's massive. There are glimpses of brilliance around, but we get fed all the negative stuff, or we're predisposed to see the negative stuff, and then So your question was, do I notice the shifts? I should have just said yes, but I went on a bit.
Yeah, they do. Loads. No, I like that because you're actually retraining your clients to see the world in a different way, which is what they need. They've got these neural pathways laid down for trauma and for pain and for suffering. And we have to change it up and go, well, is there anything else going on for you? Oh, yeah, actually there is. I got fitted for a wedding dress. That's, as you said in the beginning, about congruence within the client and rapport within the client. That's somebody who's not quite congruent with themselves, that needs us to bring them to a place of congruence.
There's a similar thing that's happened a couple of times on this program as well, where people have just said, what it's like. It's a conversational thing. We're coaching conversationally, really. It's not an interrogation, is it? It's a conversation. So, and that, because of the rapport, wanders around just a little bit. But I've had a couple of people say how. One woman put it like this: she works in a creative job in the States. She actually put it as a question to me. She said, I've started being a lot more creative in my work. So much so that some of my colleagues have pointed it out. Do you think that could be because of the program? I guess what she was asking me was, well, the program is about MPD, so how the hell has this thing happened over here on the left-hand side, which is about my career? Well, we talked about it, and I just say to her, what do you think? She said, well, I think it is, I think it is. And as we chatted about it, I sort of surmised one thing was, you're growing new neural pathways, the brain's finding new real estate to use. Well, it's going to use it, so come on.
And also, if people are stuck in a deep state of trauma and a deep state of pain, they might freeze.
Yes.
And the creative juices will just stop.
Yeah.
And as we, this course is pretty intense. So as we kind of force them to lay down new neural pathways, there is that capacity there. Yeah. Things are stirring up. They should be having strange dreams. They should be feeling things that they haven't felt for a while. There should be quite rapid and deep change coming on quite quickly. But it's great to hear that somebody's creativity has come back, and it's not that she thinks it; it's that her colleague.
That was really, really validated it when she sort of said that as well. Because it's good. So yeah. So I said we'll send her a bill because charge extra for that.
I think so. I think we're owed probably 15% of every extra profit she earns on her creative endeavors now.
We should do it like that, shouldn't we? Yeah.
Creativity tax, we'll call it.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, this was a video I just wanted to do so people get a chance to sort of meet you and to see what you're all about. Is there anything else that you wanted to add or anything else that you wanted to talk about before we look at wrapping it?
I hadn't thought of anything.
Do you have any advice for people who say, like, they've looked at the program and they've gone, well, I can't do that right now, but I really do want to recover from the relationship I was in. I really do want to start feeling better and getting back to living my life again. Would you have any advice for somebody who's in that position?
It is. I mean, again, because I've been doing this for a while, you store away lots of little thoughts over the years, don't you? And my general advice, or certainly try and influence, would be, now is the right time. And that's just not getting them on the program sort of stuff, because as you know, if they're not ready, they're not ready. But if they are at that point, then it's got to be now, because if you put it off, other things get in the way, either real world sort of stuff like your new project or something happens. But so it's like the program itself, the structure of the program is immersive, intense, by design. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same thing. It's not like saying I think I'll wait a few weeks just to see, and then I'll dive in the deep end. It's just dive in the deep end, and start. So I'd be interested to know why people would want to defer it. If it's about, is this the right program or something, then that's probably a good reason. Mm-hmm. But if this could really work for me, and you just know that, then I personally wouldn't say you wouldn't defer it at all. You've got to strike while the iron's hot, haven't you, in these sorts of things? If you I knew
that warrior now.
What was that I say?
I knew that there would be a warrior metaphor coming up. Strike while the iron is hot.
Oh yeah, okay. Now that's a domestic one. I'm doing my ironing. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? What do you think about it? Because you've been sort of involved in building the program for longer. What would you say?
I think like you say, as you were talking before, you said "strike while the iron is hot." I thought of there is an old Japanese poem, "Hell gapes beneath the upraised sword. Step in, and heaven is your reward." Right. I do think that there's no perfect time. There's never going to be a perfect time, and it's going to be a mess. So if you jump on the course, it's going to move stuff around during your day. It's going to move stuff around during the week. You're going to be doing exercises at times where you'd rather be, but it's kind of designed to be that way. It's a pattern interrupt. It's an interrupting influence.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I get that. And that sort of fits in with my thoughts as well, because if you know about it, you know about the program, and you feel as though it would do you well, but you're not ready because of life or the things, then that's going to carry on. It is that pattern interrupt. You need to just go right in now. Boom, fix this.
Yeah.
And then, you know, get on with a better life.
Yeah. Everything plays out in a sort of messy, organic way. The idea that it's going to be clean and linear and delineated, it's a fantasy. You've just got to get stuck in, haven't you? Just give it a go.
we could go right back to the start here with the self-defense metaphors, couldn't we? You know, we learn things in a very laboratory style dojo gym or something, but those, you know, I know you and certainly I, what we do, we also know that you've got to practice this as a very messy thing as well. Yeah. There's no if you get jumped on by two blokes in the street, there's no can we do this next week, guys? Because
I did my abs yesterday. Can you not jump on me like that, please?
It's like when we get guys coming onto our, well, the class we run now, Krav Maga, we do it at, we have one night, which is a Wednesday night, which we call beginner's night. It's a trick. It's a con.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of practicality. They've got a fight, health and safety for, but you know, after that they line up and train with everybody else. And I will say to them, there's no beginner. Yeah. I do not know for sure if and when you might get assaulted in the street. It could be tonight. I hope it isn't. You know, but there's no beginner. It's like that, isn't it? If it's there to be done and it's right for you, then you do it.
Absolutely. And it's having the right mindset as well. I think it's good to have a beginner's mindset. I always, when I was in Asia last time, every time I went to a Muay Thai class, I'd go to the beginner's class, and some smart ass would go, "Why are you in the beginner's class? You should be in the advanced class." And I'm going, "There is no advanced class.
Yes.
There's only this.
Yes.
All you can do is add a couple of fucking turns and a jumping elbow. I mean, but like if your beginner stuff sucks, then it's shit anyway." So yeah, no, I think it's a good mindset to have, the beginner's class. That's the way it should always be. Yeah, never fully prepared, just going for it, just having the heart to just see it through.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, indeed, mate, indeed.
Very cool. All right, well, ladies and gents, this has been Steve. If you want to find out more about this man, then his bio is up on the website. Just follow the links below. And if you want to get coaching with him, jump on the waiting list, and we'll hopefully get you on within a couple of days. Thank you very much for that, Steve.
That's good fun, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.
Enjoyed it as ever.